Well, despite having been a trader for a very long time, I never thought that I would get sick of saying all-time highs. And I'm not sick of saying it. It's good news for us. It's good news for our clients. But all-time highs again. And that phrase is the password to this year. Last night, the Nasdaq hit another all-time high, up 0.5%, dragging the other US indices with it. What was interesting about last night was it was the old school tech stocks that did the heavy lifting. Amazon, Broadcom, Oracle, all up by about 1.5%, what drove the Nasdaq to its record levels. We've seen markets rise globally over the last 24 hours, all of it pinned very much on the hopes of a rate cut in the US. And clearly the jobs data on Friday night, as dire as it was and as sad a picture as it paints of the US economy, was taken as a positive by share investors because of that potential for interest rate cuts in response from the US Federal Reserve. Now, interesting to see the US Treasury Secretary coming out overnight and pointing out that a lot of what was done by the Fed were emergency measures first instituted after the GFC, and that these emergency measures have been carried on for too long. It seems to be echoing what other central banks are not saying at the moment. That is that they're running their own show and responding to their own data, whereas the Fed seems very much stuck in accommodation mode. So markets nonetheless quite pleased with the way things have developed, and it's spilling over into other asset classes, of course, as well. So crypto's had a bit of a bounce in overnight trading. Gold set another all-time high. There's that phrase again in trading, touching $3,646.50 an ounce. Another all-time high. It's pulled back a little from those levels, but still trading well above $3,600 US. And the positive momentum that we've seen in gold stocks looks set to continue. It's interesting to note the gold stocks came under pressure in trading yesterday. They are used very much as a proxy for trading the gold price, and sometimes the reaction in the share market amongst those gold stocks doesn't seem to be in line with the gold price moves themselves, but nonetheless, it certainly is. However, the complicating factor is the huge volatility we see in those gold stocks. So certainly at the moment, upward momentum. Those who bought in yesterday on the weakness might be looking at a good day in gold stocks today. But commodities are a bit of a focus this morning, and the other commodity we're looking at is oil. Crude oil markets have surprised. It was widely expected we'd see significantly lower prices than the current levels in the $60 US a barrel. And the reason for that is that OPEC and its fellow travellers, the OPEC Plus group, are increasing production. They've increased production for the last 3 months, and they increased it again at their meeting on Sunday night. Now, the increase this time wasn't as large, but given that it's starting on a second tranche of cuts, it was significant. And we were expecting to see, at least many gold traders were oil traders were expecting to see prices significantly lower. That hasn't been the case. Now, there are reports of Russian sanctions that could impact global supplies, but it's surprising we haven't seen more selling in oil markets in response to those increases in supply. It does point to a demand scenario that is perhaps being underestimated. But nonetheless, we do expect to see further price pressures. A lot of analysts looking for prices under $60 a barrel by the end of the year, and under $50 a barrel at some stage next year. And that, of course, is weighing on the investment outlook for energy stocks. Over the past month, Woodside here in Australia is down 7%. Beach Energy down 7.5%. Santos is down 2%. The weight of these commodity price slips has been significant. And just as we saw with the global miners last year, at a time when commodity prices were in question, they became underestimated and became a value proposition because of that very bearish outlook for commodity prices. And the question I think a lot of investors will be asking, have we got a similar scenario with energy stocks, particularly oil and gas stocks? Given the known supply issues for it, the fact that the oil price is holding up so well could be a sign of underlying strength. Karoon Energy, one of the smaller producers here, down 15% in the past month. Its stock has been sliding despite the fact that it put out a positive result and a positive outlook at the end of August. And the slide may well relate to the fact that the dividend was cut, but the overall earnings outlook seems to be a lot more positive than the share price is currently reflecting. It is still up 16.5% year to date, and many analysts still retain a buy rating on the stock, but that 15% pullback does look like it's brought it back to a much healthier position. Other stocks in the news, PopMart, one that's been followed very closely, the supplier of Labubu dolls, the phenomenal rally in this stock, just incredible. It has come off from its all-time high, which was struck just last month. It's down 7%. The slide since it joined the Hang Seng does seem a little improbable, but it shows one of those market factors we often talk about, that investors tend to buy the rumour and sell the fact. And the launch of PopMart's share price into its inclusion in the Hang Seng meant that it was always vulnerable to a sell down now that the fact has been established. It's been in a steady drop since September, but still up 500% for the last 12 months. This is quite a phenomenal stock. And while the popularity of Labubu dolls holds up, it's likely to as well. However, it is starting to show some characteristics that have some traders suggesting PopMart's share price is in a bubble, and they're concerned about that bubble popping. Another one in the news at the moment is Life 360. It's up more than 6% in trading yesterday. It's up more than 100% year to date, and it's very clear that this app that allows families to stay connected and possibly spy on each other is something that a lot of analysts are very keen on. It has many buy ratings. It reported record results in August. There are questions about valuation in this stock, but that's not uncommon, particularly in tech-enabled stocks. So some suggestions that there might be a correction at some stage, but at the moment, the momentum in Life 360 shares remains very positive.